G'day, and welcome to the country. I'm afraid you'd have to live in Australia to understand the sarcasm in that statement. Anyway, the Yamaha XJ900 was a classic UJM. For those of you that don't know what that term means, it stands for Universal Japanese Motorcycle. A bike with an inline 4-cylinder engine and an upright riding position. Basically, a bike which can pretty much do it all. From touring, whether that be solo or two up, to just having some fun on a twisty mountain road. Anyone that's ever owned or ridden a decent amount of bikes knows that a good bike isn't just about having the most horsepower, the quickest quarter mile time, or the highest top speed. The XJ900 produced between 90 and 97 horsepower, depending on the model year. It was no superbike, but in reality it had enough power for the vast majority of riders. Its best verified quarter mile time of 11.82 seconds didn't put it in the elite league, but it was quick enough. And its top speed of 130 to 135 miles per hour was below the fastest bikes in the world at that time. But again, in reality, how often does anyone even ride at these sort of speeds? In reality, the XJ900 was plenty fast enough. In fact, it was far superior to the king of the 1970s, the Kawasaki Z900, in every performance aspect. It was a bike for the real world rider. It was just overshadowed somewhat by much more powerful bikes of that era, including its own stablemate. Now, I'm not saying the XJ900 was the very best universal Japanese motorcycle ever made, but surely it's got to be right up there with the very best of them. If you can think of a better example, I'd be interested to read your pick in the comments. But having more horsepower or a higher top speed just doesn't cut it. First appearing way back in 1983, the XJ900 offered a much more manageable alternative to Yamaha's bulky XS1100, which was released a few years earlier. It looked great as well. The 900's engine was of course an air-cooled inline 4-cylinder. It had double overhead camshafts and just the 2 valves per cylinder. The very first model, the one pictured here with the handlebar mounted bikini fairing, did have some handling issues, which Yamaha quickly addressed. The bike remained in production for 2 decades. This fact alone speaks volumes for how good the bike actually was. Motorcyclists all over the world just loved this bike. The first models had an 853cc engine, while the later ones had an 891cc engine. Ironically, the earlier ones had more horsepower and better overall performance. The XJ900 also had a shaft final drive. Some of you watching this video may remember that back in the day, many magazine road testers used to bag out shaft-driven motorcycles for their odd handling quirks. While I try to leave my own opinions out of most of my videos, this is one thing that has always annoyed me. Sure, shaft drive bikes do lift the rear somewhat under acceleration, but as most decent riders know, a motorcycle is much more stable under gentle acceleration, particularly while cornering. So once you got used to the way a shaft drive bike lifts, you could actually use it to your advantage during corners and gain more cornering clearance. If they were actually so terrible, how come in the Castrol 6-hour production bike races, a shaft drive bike came 3rd in 71, 2nd in 75, 2nd in 76, 1st in 77, 1st in 78, 2nd and 3rd in 79, and 3rd in 1981. Anyway, rant over. But let me know what you think about this in the comments as well. A decade after the 900's initial release, Yamaha revamped the bike quite substantially, and it became the Yamaha XJ900 diversion. While it looked quite different, the engine remained basically the same. This revamped model proved to be just as popular as the earlier models, and it wasn't until a whole decade later that Yamaha finally discontinued production of the XJ900. The Yamaha XJ900 was a very easy and low-cost bike to maintain. And unlike many bikes these days, it also had a decent sized fuel tank. It was made for the everyday rider, a role which it filled to absolute perfection. Cheers, hope you enjoyed the video.